This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Hey team, we have a new sponsor here at the Crypto Conversation, BitGet, one of the world's leading copy trading cryptocurrency exchanges. Yes, indeed. What happens if you've got the funds to invest, but you don't have the time to keep track of the market? You still want to make smart money moves. What do you do? Well, copy trading is a popular choice for beginner traders. You can shorten your learning curve by uncovering tips and strategies from more experienced traders. BitGet's copy trading platform has over 80,000 elite traders to choose from and 380,000 followers just like yourself who are already using the BitGet copy trading platform as a potential passive income stream. All it takes is one click. You can subscribe to an elite, profitable strategist, set your limits, automate your orders, and monitor their trades. I've got some links in the show notes below. One link will take you through to the BitGet sign-up page, give you a VIP discount. So learn all about it for yourself thanks to BitGet. And now it is on with the show. My guest today is Micky Watkins. Micky is the CEO at World Mobile, which is all about connecting the unconnected. Yes, it is the first mobile network owned by the people and built, of course, on the blockchain. Welcome to the show, Micky.
Hey, Andy, how you doing? Everything is good?
Everything is good, man. Good to be chatting to you. Look, let's do what we do at the beginning of the show, Micky. I'll invite you to please introduce yourself. Love to hear a little bit about your backstory, your personal story, what you've been doing in the lead up to getting involved. I think you're the founder and CEO at World Mobile Group, yeah?
Yeah, correct. So I'm Micky Watkins. I'm 42 years old, about to turn 43, a good age. I'm now in the same thing I've been doing for the last 20 years, which is telecommunications. So I've been working in the industry, mostly connecting borders, finding cheaper communications for people. About 5 or 6 years ago, I thought that this shouldn't really be done for a private company because there were 3 billion people unconnected. There's still around 2.7 billion people unconnected on the planet. And on top of that, people who have 2G are actually considered connected, but that's without internet. So if you take the amount of people that actually don't have internet on this planet, you're looking at around 4 billion people, which is a massive injustice. You know, if we couldn't have this podcast today, I couldn't be calling you without the internet. Not successfully anyway, and not with super high quality, so you could hear the hoarseness in my voice. So I've been in the industry for 20 years, and I plan to be in the industry for at least another 20 more until this problem's fixed.
Yeah, interesting, because I can see in your bio, Micky, as you've explained, you've been in telecommunications, if you like, for 20 years. You've been involved in founding some. It's VoIP. VoIP. What does that stand for? That's voice over internet.
Yeah, voice over IP. So we invented Wi-Fi calling. It's now common in everybody's telephone, the Samsungs and the Apple phones. That was around 12 years ago. And I've been at the cutting edge, along with my family, my brother, of telecommunications. So we've built a lot of stuff before the AI hype was real. We were working with AI 5-6 years ago, telecommunications and all types of things.
Yeah, I remember. You know who Alex Mashinsky is?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
I guess he's a fairly controversial character after what happened with Celsius. But way before Celsius, before crypto, he was one of the early guys involved with voice over internet as well, wasn't he?
It was a revolution when it happened. All of a sudden, you know, James Tagg, for example, on our team, he was the first mobile carrier to ever actually make a voice over IP call across a cellular network, right? And that was a huge thing. And then now to imagine that probably 95 to 96% of all calls in connected countries come through voice over IP or voice over LTE, I should say. That's the new one. But the revolution happened. It changed everything. It brought down the price of calling dramatically. And that's what you're expecting, right? That's what should happen. Every 5 years, every 10 years, something big should happen in order to benefit those people who were not benefited from it before.
Of course. All right. Well, let's start to learn about World Mobile then, Micky. So I don't know even where to start. Maybe just give us the origin story for World Mobile, and then we can start to connect the dots, learn how our blockchain is involved, and yeah, how the technology is advancing, I guess. But yeah, tell us about World Mobile origin story, please.
So World Mobile, really, again, it's probably a culmination of all my life's efforts, but World Mobile really came to life around 6 years ago. But World Mobile was not meant to be a platform solely to connect the unconnected until I realized how many people were unconnected and underserved. Actually, it was a privacy-based platform. So I saw what was happening with mobile network operators, with ISPs. I don't need to repeat that here. You people can go look it up on Google and make their own opinion. But selling someone's data or misappropriating someone's data or having the opportunity to take someone's data ultimately messes with your privacy. And I thought, okay, I'm going to change this. I'm going to create a platform where we can control our own data. We can choose what to do with it. We may want to donate it. We may want to rent it. We may want to do anything with it. May not want to do anything with it, but at least we're in control of our own data, certain elements of it. So I spent about 6 months building a platform. And then I woke up one day and said, hold on, who actually cares about privacy in realness? Are they going to use this platform? Probably not. Am I wasting my time? I don't think so, but am I going to get mass adoption of this? Probably not. So where can I go where the most unconnected people are on the planet? So I typed in, where is the most unconnected place on the planet? It came up with the African continent. I've been very used to working there for 10, 15 years. So I thought, okay, how many people? And it said 700 million people. And I was like, wow, that is a lot of people. Even I didn't think that. And I'd been connecting borders and bridging the digital divide for quite a long time, but I never knew this number. So I called up some friends at the International Telecommunications Union. I called up some friends at the GSMA. I did some research. And actually, I came to the figure that around half the world was unconnected. So that's when I said, okay, privacy comes first. But actually, without the internet, privacy doesn't matter because you can't access digital things. So let's fix the internet first of all. Again, like I said, I had some experience. I looked up other companies that were doing something similar in the space, and I found Facebook and Google and Microsoft, and they were onto something. And I thought, wow, this is huge. If these entities are chasing connecting the unconnected, maybe their reason is different than mine to connect the unconnected, but it's a valid thing that I'm trying to do. So I called up a friend that I went to university with, Andrew Soper, and he was living in Tanzania. He's Kenyan born. And I said to him, look, I've got this device. I need to power it. I need to find the most remote village that you can find me within a reasonable distance of Zanzibar town so that I can get back and forth. I wanted to do a documentary on the effect of internet on people's lives. So this was 2019. We sent over the equipment. Andy introduced me to RJ. He'd been a very good friend of his and business partner for a long time. And off we went. We set it up. We sent a film crew out there to see what was before. And then we had every intention a month later to come back, see our case study, and everything was going to be as I thought. Then we had this thing called COVID, right? All borders shut around the world. Everything became very difficult for people, and especially travel. So we actually couldn't get back to Zanzibar for 9 months, from the beginning until the end with the film crew. When we finally managed to get back, the film crew on the way there were calling me saying, this is super exciting. I wonder what's happened. They arrived and they said, look, this is very strange. This village, when we arrived, had 120 people, 110 people. It now looks like just from plain sight, it looks like there's 300 people, 250 people in this village. I said, are you sure it's the same village? I said, well, not really, because it also only had one pub and one shop. And now we're seeing 2 pubs, and now we're seeing 2 shops. I said, yes, we can see the air node. I said, so then you're in the right village. It worked. They said, what's worked? I said, we've changed the economy by providing people internet. And all of a sudden, it got very exciting for everybody. We went into the village previously. No one could speak English, or very, very little English, one person. We came back, people had been learning English on Duolingo. Most impressively, I think, is that the fishermen, because this was mainly a fisherman's village, they previously had holes in their nets. They'd catch the fish, they'd put it in a bucket, they'd wait until the trader came or he didn't come and they didn't know when he was coming in real time. And then there was smoke the fish. When you smoke the fish, you lose 10 times the value of the fish. So all of a sudden, just by having this node in their village, they were able to contact the trader and say to the trader, I've got fresh fish, here's my picture. And it was worth the 60-kilometer journey to get to where they needed to get. So the trader would come, they'd make more money. In turn, they'd spend more money, tickle the economy. Then the shopkeepers would have more jobs to do. The people in the nighttime, because of the air node, I haven't explained the air node, I will now. The air node is a device. This particular air node was built for rural areas. So where there is no infrastructure, there is no power. So at the top is a plug for solar or a solar array. Usually what happens is we want to oversize the solar array to add extra battery life to the second life batteries, because then people can charge their devices. It's no good having internet if you can't charge your device.
So just pause a second there, Micky. So, because we'll get to how this works, I suppose, in a technological sense, because this is, what I was wondering, but I was just kind of reading the answer to that as you were talking. So maybe let's just lay out the context, because you have this great blog post on your website, which is really just called How World Mobile is Connecting the Unconnected. So, of course, again, you point out that 48% of the world is currently unconnected. And when you take a look to Africa, it's more like 78%. And you identify some of the reasons for that in that blog post, saying that
legacy infrastructure and legacy business models, that's the reason.
Exactly. They don't have the licenses and so, all right. Well, start to fill in the gaps then as to how you guys can potentially find a solution to start, connecting these people, Micky.
So the United Nations, the World Bank, many of the institutions that support and help, they recognize that connectivity is needed for the progress of people and countries, nations. We recognize that Facebook, Google, Microsoft, the 750 to 1,000 mobile network operators in the world, they're not short of cash. They have cash. They're massively cash-generating businesses. Yes. It's no secret. If you look at the Forbes rich list, you'll see communications, all of those people in the top 100, or many of them, I should say, they're involved in communications company because it's extremely wealthy. It's an oligopoly that run this. But the MNOs, they're not at fault. The ISPs, they're not at fault. The problem is the business model. So typically to be a mobile network operator, you need to go and spend a couple of $100 million on licenses, infrastructure, hardware, have another $100 million to pay for your staff, have another $100 million to pay for your switching, and then have another couple of $100 million to pay for your advertising. This model has left half the world offline. The next part is, even if Google, an incredible company that have done so much for us on this planet, the connected, if they can't afford to connect the unconnected, something is hideously wrong. And the wrongness there is they've tried to do it alone. So what we've done is we've said, okay, we can bring off-the-shelf hardware and we can make our own proprietary hardware that's much cheaper without licenses or without the need for licenses to run a mobile network. And on the other side, what we've managed to do is make a business model that doesn't involve one single entity or several companies teaming up together to fix a problem. It actually involves everyone in the world being part of this. So for the first time in history, you can be, I can be, anyone can be a mobile network operator or a part of a mobile network operator. And that's the only way we're going to connect 3.5, 4 billion people over the next 5 or 6 years.
And that is part of also what we're calling the sharing economy, right?
That is the sharing economy. People have seen the rise of Airbnb. It was quite a limited sharing economy because you'd either need to own a house or have a sublet on a house. And then we saw Uber, massive disruption to the transport industry. People are still kicking off today, but actually for the end client, it got much better. And they're the best examples of sharing economies. We've seen sharing economies with IoT, Internet of Things, that have taken off really, really, really well. Problem is there's no revenue, and the sharing economy needs to incentivize people to put up that infrastructure to keep it powered. And if they've got no revenue coming from it, then it comes down to, do I want to do something good that costs me, or Do I not want to do something that costs me because I can't afford to do something that doesn't pay me back or doesn't give me an incentive for doing this? So we figured that there's it's a 3-point-something trillion dollar market, telecommunications, without value-added services, right? So we figured that if we can tap into this and we can find a way to allow people to host infrastructure and get incentivized and economic rewards from that infrastructure, then this could be the answer. We've demonstrated this now. We spent the last 2 years in Zanzibar. We've taken that vision with a cookie cutter approach to Pakistan. And in Pakistan, we don't have a single person on the ground. We have a team that's working there as a partner to take on the sharing economy. And they're spreading the words, and it's actually growing. So we're excited to see where this can go. Most recently, we've started to fine-tune the sharing economy in USA. And it might surprise many listeners, but the United States of America, 10% of the population at least is unconnected, and 30% of the landmass is unconnected. So this problem isn't just for the emerging markets. It isn't just the African continent that is unconnected. With the exception of 4 or 5 countries in the world, every single country has this problem.
And being a sharing economy based on the blockchain, Micky, there is a token, of course, as well, the World Mobile Token. So how does that play a part in this ecosystem?
Well, many people come to me and say to me, well, do you really need to have a mobile network operator on the blockchain? So I said, well, of course you do. They said, well, why? I said, well, there's 7 reasons. If we're using blockchain and we're using smart contracts, we finish with a lot of the bureaucracy. So we already have a much less OPEX than other mobile network operators. Smart contracts settle cross-border remittance and cross-border connections is something fantastic. To settle billing, your CDRs is something that's having a team. Typically, you would have 30, 40 people to run this for a big company. So that's one reason. But I think one of the most important reasons is coming back to what I said in the beginning, privacy. So mobile network operators, they're in a position of power and they can see what you do. So they know when you wake up, when you sleep, when you go outside, which cryptocurrency you use, where you bank, who your friends are. It's quite serious. And most of them are good people, they're good companies. And they say that they don't take that data, that information. But we decided that it's better that we don't tell you we don't take it. We actually show you we don't take it. So we log everything that's immutable on the blockchain, private to you, and then you can see what has happened with your data and who has tampered with it or who has not tampered with it. So we wanted to create kind of a new mobile network operator that you didn't need to trust, that was trustless. And then I think the third reason, one of the most important, is if you're asking people to put up infrastructure and invest into that infrastructure, invest into themselves, not into World Mobile, to own this because they own a part of the network, right? So you have someone who decides they're going to put $10,000 down to buy 2 nodes, stick it on the side of their hotel, and then they're going to be able to connect a radius of 1 kilometer or 1.5 kilometers from their hotel. They want to know that they're going to get paid, and they want to know how much usage has happened. So it's all good me telling them, hey, look, log into this panel. This is how much usage has happened. But much better than me having a protocol that runs on the blockchain, proof of service, that undeniably allows them how much data has been consumed and fairly pays them for that data. So many, many reasons beyond that as well. But we believe that the future of telecommunications is to involve blockchain. We've taken it to the next level and evolved it throughout the entire of the journey, on the B2B side, the B2C side, and the management side. But we're starting to see other companies that are employing this and working with blockchain for its benefits. You
mentioned the air nodes before, Micky, but I can also see you guys talk about wireless mesh networks, air nodes, backhaul, and aerostats. So look, you don't need to get too technical, but maybe just give us a bit of a sense of what all these things do in terms of, connecting the unconnected.
Yeah, pleasure. So the network's split up into 3 different types of nodes. You have air nodes, you have earth nodes, and you have ether nodes. So I'll start with air nodes. Air nodes can take many forms, right? For example, in an African village that has no connectivity or no infrastructure, Wi-Fi is often the best, most compatible spectrum to be using. It's an unlicensed spectrum, so it also doesn't end up costing the end user a lot of money. Wi-Fi's benefits are that it's free. The second benefit is that you can fit a huge amount of data down there. Wi-Fi 6 is 9.6 gigabytes a second, I think. Don't quote me, but it's somewhere similar to that. But it doesn't go very far. So it only serves as a purpose for people when people come to the node. This is perfect in a place where there's no infrastructure because they come to the node to charge the device. The nodes also have solar panels on top of them to keep the second life batteries on the bottom of them charged. Also has lights. It's underestimated how many people go without actual basic lighting. And when you live on the equator in Tanzania, every night it gets dark at 7 o'clock, every single night on the dot. So from 7 o'clock onwards, you're really restricted unless you've got your own solar home system, or you have a friend who has a generator, and that's not very cost effective either. So these air nodes in particular are perfect for rural areas. But then we have other air nodes in Kenya, for example, where there's been a big movement towards using TV white space. So if you look at the roofs around you where you live, you'll see these old antennas. That spectrum, that particular channel that was being used, or channels that were being used, it didn't happen in the African continent. So it's a free spectrum that the mobile network operators haven't sussed yet exactly what it can do. So, I mean, I'm sure they will once World Mobile shows them. But so we're using unlicensed spectrum direct to handset, it's band 71, TV white space, as well as for a backhaul. So those air nodes are different than the air nodes in the Tanzanian setup. And then you talk about America, for example. In America, we have access to licensed spectrum, and we use both unlicensed spectrum. So America's been very forthcoming in its revolution of spectrum. Spectrum has typically been a very expensive game for anybody to get involved into. And I'm talking hundreds of millions, billions of dollars to own your own spectrum. You can just look at AT&T, Verizon, Dish Networks recently. They've bought lots of spectrum. But actually, America open source 150 megahertz, which is pretty wide, of CBRS. So allowing anybody to put up a node and have cellular properties from it. So it's very similar to Wi-Fi, but is much more technically advanced. So then in our network in the USA, we use both licensed spectrum and unlicensed spectrum, and that's another different type of node. And then we've got finally the aerostat. So the aerostat is really a marvel. It's a beautiful machine. It's full of helium. It's very big. Essentially, it lifts a tower into the sky with our payload on the bottom of it, hovers at 300 meters, and we can get a 75-kilometer radius coverage on our first version. We believe we can get around 120 kilometers squared coverage on our second version, which is about to be released over the next couple of months. So this is kind of a description of the air nodes. They take many forms, but what they do is they provide the connectivity layer for World Mobile. And these combination of air nodes, they fix two major problems. One problem is the wilderness problem. So you need to cover a huge amount of area. You don't want to lay down fiber to multiple towers in that area because it just doesn't make sense. And you can literally launch an aerostat and cover everybody. The other problem that we're fixing with the smaller nodes is the problem of the Swiss cheese. So you would have noticed it before. You drive from A to B, and then always at the same spot, you have a connectivity issue. Your call drops, or your Zoom reconnects, or whatever it may be. So this is very, very common, patchy networks. So by having these multiple different types of air nodes, we're able to fix those two problems. And those two problems are the biggest problems in the industry right now. The wilderness, rural connectivity, and the Swiss cheese, gaps in connectivity. Then you have the Earth node. So the Earth node is actually the core. So what we've done is we've taken a lot of the elements that run in a mobile core, typically very expensive that you'd be buying from Ericsson or Samsung or another type of blue chip company. We've brought that to the blockchain. So we have people who host a server. That server has some software that runs on it. It also has the validator running on it. And then we've managed to make that actually function as a mobile core. And we have 1,000 of those. They're called Earth node operators, and they're based on the right to operate is if you own an NFT. So an Earth node NFT. That's a very important development in the history of telecommunications, because now you've got this spread out, distributed, decentralized network that is fully compliant, working with the regulator, but actually functions as a huge, huge OPEX saving for World Mobile. and also allows other people to actually take part in this sharing economy, not just on the connectivity layer. Finally, you've got the Ether node. So each country needs one Ether node at least to run. The Ether node is the bridge between legacy communications and the world mobile chain. There's no good bringing out a new protocol, a new system, and not being compatible with the old legacy infrastructure. So this allows us to connect to other mobile network operators, and also allows us to be fully regulated and compliant in any country that we're in.
Got it. Thank you, Micky. So it sounds like you guys are bringing together, lots of different interesting pieces of infrastructure to build out this network and concentrate on, as we say, connecting the unconnected. As we finish up this part of the podcast, then Micky, just before we go to the break, tell people where they can go if they want to learn more about what you guys are doing.
Our social media, Twitter, is the number one place. I think that everyone could go and visit and see the pictures, see the videos, and see our sharing economy, our community, the people that are running testnet. You can also go visit wmtscan.com in order to understand how the network is growing, where we have nodes, the amount of revenue that's been generated on those nodes. And of course, finally, Telegram is a great option. We have some fantastic ambassadors in there that are able to answer all the questions that anyone might need to know.
Awesome. Thank you, Micky. Let's go to a very quick break and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll run Micky through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Back in 1 second.
Look, we'd all like to say we're pro traders, but the reality is we're probably not. But with BitGet, you don't have to be. Why? Because BitGet is the world's largest copy trading exchange. Instead of you muddling through it on your own, feel confident. BitGet allows you to automatically copy trade from over 80,000 elite traders with 24/7 support on our secure copy trading platform. Start following expert traders on bitget.com. Check for details in the show notes and join BitGet today.
All right, we are back and I'm with Micky Watkins, founder and CEO at the World Mobile Group, connecting the unconnected. The world's first mobile network owned by the people, built on the blockchain. And Micky, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Always, ever ready.
Ever ready, I like it. Just going to run some questions at you, Micky. Just no right or wrong way to do it. Just give us your honest, kind of quick, rapid fire, hot take style answers. Question one for you. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Oof, good question. Bitcoin is the mother of it all. Multi-chain is the future. So I think there's a good combination between everything there. Somewhere in between.
Nice. I like it. All right. Well, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion, Micky?
I think that to bank the unbanked, we have to connect the unconnected. Therefore, having internet is the most important thing. Therefore, World Mobile is my firmest conviction.
Like it. All right. Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. With that in mind, Micky, whatever you like, but I guess we're talking kind of, the World Mobile Network, communications networks. What does it look like in 10 years' time?
So we've stood up in front of the International Telecommunication Union, the United Nations, the GSMA, and we've committed and pledged to connect 1 billion people by 2030. So I agree with Bill. He's correct. People can underestimate what they can do in 2, but in 10 years, you can achieve a hell of a lot. So that's where we look to be moving, and we think we do that.
Absolutely. Flip side of this is a quote by William Gibson, who said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, Micky, but most people aren't aware of it?
Yeah, right now you have a phone that you can actually sit and do anything practically with. You can find out any information. You can use OpenAI. You can browse the internet, but half the world is not aware. So the future is here for us, but not for the other half of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. All right, time to start to finish off. Micky, finally, what is your favourite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
I like Ian Banks. I think he's fantastic. But if you talk about science fiction, The Outer Limits was a wonderful thing for me to watch as a child.
Nice. Ian Banks wrote. Did he do The Wasp Factory? Was that Ian Banks?
That was Ian Banks. Yeah, Ian M. Banks.
Yeah, Ian M. Banks. Yeah, that's a brilliant book, The Wasp Factory. I bought that for my son last year. I don't think he really got into it, but man, I enjoyed that when I was a kid. Yeah. My first
Ian M. Banks book, I think, was when I was 13 years old, and it was a fantastic read.
Yeah.
Very exciting author.
I couldn't agree more. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show, Micky. I've enjoyed talking to you. Just close it out by again telling people where they can find you on Twitter, and of course where they can go to keep up with everything World Mobile.
You can DM me. I'm at Mr. Telecom. But again, jump into our socials on Twitter, World Mobile Team and World Mobile Token, and you're going to see something beautiful and something that inspires you to be part of this movement, to connect the unconnected, to serve the underserved, to bank the unbanked, and to actually deliver mass adoption in crypto that everybody's been talking about, but as of yet is elusive.
I like it. Sounds good to me. Thank you so much, Micky. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you too. Pleasure.
All right, there you go. That was Micky from World Mobile. Yeah, Micky was a nice guy, very smart guy. Enjoyed that. I don't know if you can tell, but Micky and I were chatting before we started recording. Both of us a little bit under the weather, so I can hear it in my voice. You can probably tell. But, the podcast game must roll on, so we do what we do. Well, thank you for listening to the end of another episode, team. Please make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Conversation and whatever podcast app you are using. And if you need a good book, The Wasp Factory by Ian M. Banks. Pretty disturbing book. It's kind of like it's almost like an American Psycho for teenagers, if that makes any sense at all. Anyway, I recommend it. It's a good book. All right. Thanks again, Micky. Thanks to the team at World Mobile. Thank you for listening. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin.